Hey guys, Wadox Studios here. Today we're going to continue our working with Godot and GitHub. If you haven't watched the first video, go take a peek. I know I covered a whole lot there and it was really confusing, but a question came up concerning like Perforce Plastic P4V and what's the difference? Like, you know, what does Git do? What is it so special? Or what's different about it? So Plastic and Perforce are client-server based, database driven deduplication type of commit systems. They track changes just like any other source control would do. Git is a little different in the sense that it has a remote location that you can push and pull from. And it also has local copies of these things. And if I open up, like, say, one of my other ones, you'll see this .git directory. This is where it stashes those local copies of all your changes. So ultimately what that means is if you UDP into or FTP into a server, or you stick this on a thumb drive and bring it to another computer that's got Git for Windows on it, or Git for Mac, then you'll see all the commit history that was created in the local Git repo. If it's been set to track a remote origin, which is just a command, git add remote origin equals URL string, then it'll also understand that whenever it reconnects to the origin within Git commands. But the easiest way is to just show you this. So we'll go ahead and create like a temp folder. And then I'll open this with VS Code. And then I'll have a new terminal over here. And without any URL string, I'll just type git init. This initializes an empty Git repository inside that etemp directory. So now over here, you'll see I have a branch name. And then on the left, I don't have any commits. I need to actually make my first thing. So if we go to the file system here and we do a new file, I'm just going to say first file.txt. And then in here, I'm going to say this is my first change. And we're going to save it. Now over here in source control, it's tracking that this has been it's saying this file's been changed, but it's telling you it's untracked. We don't have it added. So we're going to hit this plus mark that stages it, so that in Perforce that's like checking it out, and now it tracks changes and it turns a color on P4V to let you know you need to check it back in or revert it. So the revert is like unstage it, revert. So it's going to bring it back to this status, and then right here would be like throw it away permanently. I don't need it. So we're going to add it back just so we do that. First change and file added, right? So at this point you hit this checkbox, it saves it. Forget about this publish branch thing. We're not remote. Down here we have a commit. That's our first commit. Now if we go and we make another change to this, this is my second change, and I save. Now what you'll see is it tracks it. It says this is modified. It's no longer untracked. It's already been added. It's in a commit in the first change. It says you've modified it. We hit this again, right? And then this changes from publish to commit. We commit and say updated file with second change. We hit save. And again, ignore this. Now we have our second commit. So now we can technically go back to this and we can say, check this out. And we're back to the first change. So first file is reverted back to the first change. Over here, to get back to the second change, we have two options. We can click this and go back this way. Or if we go and check this out, we can come over here and go get checkout, and it goes back to the head revision of this branch, right? If you ever decided later on you want to publish this, all of your commits and all of your files to a remote repository, that's where you would run this git remote add origin URL string, right? Whatever your new repository, when you go to Git and you make that new repository up here, whatever that URL string they give you is, that's what you would put here, and it would add it to remote. That way when you hit publish, it would publish it out. So that's Git in a nutshell. If you ever have any questions about like what do I do, come over to GitHub Copilot and say, how do I check out the first commit in this repo? And it's going to give you the command, or it'll just do it for you. So right here, it's going to say git log reverse online, select object first. That's just a really quick, fancy way to say go to the first commit. This will put you at a detached head state at the first commit. If you want to return the master branch later, use git checkout master. It doesn't look like it worked. It looks like I'm still on the master, so it looks like it hallucinated. So I'm going to right click this commit ID and I'm going to say, did you not see so it says this is a shorter version. Let's check it out. Okay, same thing, right? So this is working with GitHub Copilot. If you're ever kind of lost and you're trying to understand something, just know that like you can get over here and go back in time. And if you do something and accidentally push up a change like this, it's showing you the difference. Like this is what is there. This is the first file change, right? So we're back. But say that I didn't mean to make that second change. I know what to do to push this up, but let's just say you don't know what to do to push this up, or for you to actually make that the head. Actually, didn't mean to commit my last commit, and I want my current. And we'll copy this commit ID to be the head. It's going to be a force reset. Yep. So it's going to get checkout master, and then it's going to say get reset hard, and it's going to pass in that commit. So now we are here. And the second change is gone permanently, right? So just be really careful about that. But that's how you would say, oopsie, I want to go back in time and I want that back in time location to be permanent. So now that we're done with this, we could throw this away. This was just a really good example of like, how does Git work? How do you work within it locally? How do you track your changes, etc. Now, we can use the VR template as a really good example because a question came up this evening that was like, what if I created a fork of the VR template and I'm using 4.5 and the VR template's on 4.4 and I want to open, say, a PR for a component change. So I'm going to take you through that. So instead of me using mine, I'm going to go through this process yet again. I'm going to go to a folder. I'm going to name it temp VR template. What a big old capital E there. Didn't mean to do that. And inside of this folder, I'm going to open this with VS Code. And I'm doing it in here instead of my parent E drive because I don't want to overwrite my current working folder that already has that template. But I'm going to go out to Git and we're just going to copy this URL. So in terminal now, I'm going to run the command git clone and we're going to paste it and hit enter. And it's going to create the WildOx VR template directory, all the subfiles and everything, right? And I'm going to go through the motions of what I know that this person, shout out Shorty, but what this person likely did is open the project up in 4.5 and started working with it and made some changes, etc. And there's a couple of caveats that you have to be careful of. But I do know that this person is well enough aware that with these changes, it means some things, right? So now that this is done, I'm closing this out because I want the root of this directory opened in code. So I can see all my files and it understands how to read the commit history. Now, if I click here, you'll see, unlike my VR template where I have all these local branches, this Git was initialized brand new from the clone statement. So the only thing it's aware of is the remote, right? There was no history for local. So it creates a local main for you, but that's it. That's all you have. So from main, let's just say this is your fork and you're making a working branch. So you would create a new branch and you would just say like my changes. And you know what? I'm going to name this 4.5 update because I know that's what we're going to be doing. So now we're on 4.5 update locally. I haven't pushed it to the remote yet. And then we are going to open the Godot workspace with the editor, and I'm going to say, okay. And if you're not familiar with why that popped up for me, et cetera, I can show you that real quick. I have the Godot extension and the GD script extension installed, and that's just kind of a built-in feature when you're working within VS Code. It's going to pop up the server over here, and it's going to say, where's your executable? So that's what that's about. So we're going to go find Godot 4.5, and we're going to set the executable. It's going to say it needs to reload. It reloads everything. Now we can open it. And we are loaded up. Now, just like whenever you're migrating a project from like an older version of Unreal Engine into a newer version of Unreal Engine, Godot has a similar process where it tracks like the import settings of textures. The Godot project itself, the project file has like 4.4 in it versus like 4.5, just like your U project inside of Unreal Engine would have your engine version in it. So you're going to see that over here on the left under these track changes. Your project.godot is going to have your basically your version change here. And then all of your imports are going to be like, hey, we now support these new compression in 4.5 where in 4.4 we didn't, right? So you're going to see these import changes. So if this was you and you were working within Godot 4.5 and you know all you really wanted to do was track the fact that you've updated your project and nothing else has changed, then likelihood is the first commit's going to be what you just did. Like that would be the cleanest thing. I'll just say we'll stage all these changes, and then the commit message would be like updated to 4.5, and we'll save, right? I'm not going to publish this. Again, this is still local. This is just my changes, but I can see that I'm one commit ahead of main, right? So next we go into the script and we say, I want to update this. Now, if you're like me and you have an extension for like Prettier, or you have an extension that's going to auto format anything, then if you don't have these extensions, you don't have to worry about it. But if you're like me and you do have auto formatting installed in VS Code, then you're gonna have to be careful, because like if I was to come over here and be like, update this as an example of a code change in Godot 4.5, and I hit Control S. Now if you look in the track change over here, you'll see all these formatting block changes. Now I could just one at a time go do this and put it all back. So that's one way of reverting all this stuff. But here's the thing, when you get done with all this, putting it all back, up here you haven't saved yet. So this is a working tree now because you're reverting all this stuff back. So the trick around, actually I want to undo that last one because I want to keep that. So the trick around, I want to cancel that. The trick around keeping this here without formatting is going to be Control K and then S. Now, it doesn't, like I say, Control K, S. Control Z, Control K, S. What? Control Shift. Control K is not working for me. Hold on, maybe I need to be over here. Control K. Control Shift S. Control Shift S looks to be what did it. So if I close out of this, we go back here, that's the only thing. So now I know that based on this, if I commit this up, the only thing that's changed between the original file and the new file is code, right? So if I now push this update, I say, we're going to stage this up. We are going to commit it to a commit, and this is going to be VR locomotion updated comment. We're not publishing a branch. This is the 4.5 update branch. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to main. From main, we are now, like, you got to think about this in order of operations. We're back to main. There's no changes. From main, we're now going to create a new branch. And we're going to say VR locomotion update. So instead of it being the 4.5 update, it's just the VR locomotion update. So we're going to do that. So we are now there. We're no different than main. It's still 4.4. It's still backwards compatible. In chat, I'm going to tell Copilot, because it's a Copilot video, hey, I'd like to cherry pick the VR locomotion change from the 4.5 update branch. And I'll just go check my work over here and make sure that's true. It is the 4.5 update branch, and I'm in the place where I want to be. It's going to run the MCP server using GitKraken. By the way, that is an extension that I am running, which allows for Copilot to make a little bit quicker. It's basically part of this Git lens, but it allows Copilot to make a little bit of a quicker request against Git. It's like, hey, there's one file changed, one insertion. So we're going to cherry pick that. It's now going to be locally in this change over here. All right. So in my current branch, I am one ahead of main. And if I go here and I close this out and I highlight it, you'll see the only change ahead of main is this VR locomotion comment. At this point, I would publish the branch because I want it to go up. Once it goes up, if we refresh here, you'll see VR locomotion update popped up. If we click on that, we can do compare and pull. When you hit that compare and pull, it's going to stage the pull request to go into main, and it's going to show you the changes down here at the bottom. And the only change, even though I've already moved the 4.5, because I went back to main, created a branch off of it, and cherry picked into it, I've prepped this to be a very, very clean commit to go back in main and still be backwards compatible with 4.4. So once you do that, you hit the create pull request. I would get that pull request and I would review that code and say, yeah, that looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and push that into main so that everyone else can use it. So hopefully that's been helpful to you guys and kind of talks you through the order of operations and how you think about this. But yeah, I could go ahead and create this pull request. It's going to show up right here when you go to pull request. VR locomotion component update. And then when I click on that, I can look at it and say, oh, there's no conflicts with this. Let me go look at the files that were changed. Oh, it's just an update to this. Now, I'm not going to allow this in because obviously we didn't update to Godot 4.5. This was just an example. But there's a couple of things I can do. I'm going to actually go back here and close the pull request because I was the one that opened it. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete this branch because there's no need to keep it. But yeah, thanks for watching. Remember to hit that like and subscribe. If you haven't considered joining the Wilddock Studios Discord, there's an awesome group of guys that are in Unreal Engine over there, Godot, Flex Engine, and we would love to have you. Until next time, happy developing and toodles, guys.